Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
What I'm about to read to you is absolutely the truth because I can relate to this one. My whole place is held together this way. You only need two tools in life: WD-40 and duct tape. If it doesn't move, and it should, use the WD-40. If it shouldn't move, and it does, use the duct tape. There you go. Words of wisdom. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America. We need a patriot to call in, a patriot with a Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. Oh, good morning, good morning. And if you hear an occasional swat, I'm after the flies here in the office this morning. I'm on a mission. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And one of our great advertisers like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today, 734-6969. Right now, let's go back over to our main studios and let's check out our Pledge of Allegiance person. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Are you our Pledge of Allegiance person?
I am.
Well, go ahead, my friend.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. I'm glad. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels, good job. And right now it's time for the weather and Cheney Flooring and Home Design, of course, our morning weather sponsor when we start the show. And they're located at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door and all your carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items. And today is We Can Do It Wednesday. You can do it. You can do amazing things in your home. Whatever you need to make your house a home is at right there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Give them a call, too, at 678-6945. Really nice people. Here's the weather forecast for Cheney Flooring and Home Design.
Well, good Wednesday morning, and as far as weather's concerned, this fog is going to be sticking around, but hopefully it will lift by this afternoon because we're supposed to see some sunshine for today. High of 63. Tonight, expect an overnight low of 39. Going to be slightly breezy for today as well. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 62 with an overnight low of 38. That's going to roll over to Friday, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Partly cloudy for Saturday and 65, and sunny and 67 for Sunday. Yesterday's high was 50 degrees, and tonight's sunset will be at 6:43. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I'm glad she's back and feeling better. Thank you, Gina. And the weather brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. Oh, goodness, tomorrow, excuse me for coughing, hay fever at this time of the year is at its peak. You know, the cooler mornings make it a little better, but every now and then I might have the urge to This sounds really gross. Sneeze in your ear. I apologize. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't you forget, coming up on the 19th of November, the second annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner at the Golden Heritage Senior Center, 2421 Overland in Burley. Tickets are $10 a piece, and they're going to start eating at 5 o'clock on the 19th of November, and it's going to be fantabulous, just like last year. Door prizes, raffles, entertainment. You don't have to be present to win. We'll get a hold of you, leave your number, and it's going to be a lot of fun on November 19th. By the way, too, I want to say thank you to Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Throw the doors open at 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday, and they've got all your heating and electrical needs, and all the people that know exactly what's going on. I'm just so impressed with them. They've been on this program for a long, long time, and people like John Paul and others, I just really, really appreciate their efforts. Thank you very much to Ramsey Heating and Electric, where they always provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric on Overland in Burley. Tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow is a big, big day. It is Lunch Bunch Day at Denny's Restaurant at 611 Overland in Burley at 11:30. Now, don't anybody call me and say, when's Lunch Bunch? Well, it's tomorrow. That's when it is. And, of course, we also want to give acknowledgments and thank yous to Smith's Food and Drug, Hanson Mortuary, Walmart. Thank you for everything, along with Stokes Food Center. Those great businesses are helping provide gift certificates for our door prizes. Thank you very much. And the food at Denny's is going to be, and always is, fantastic. You're going to love it. And don't forget, too, they've got another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Denny's Restaurant. The very best. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I got to ask you a little question. And the first person that can call in, I'm going to offer a lunch bunch dinner on me, okay? How many of you are movie buffs and know what this day is? Think about that for just a second. How many, I didn't realize it until this morning early when I got up at 3:45. How many of you are movie buffs and know what day this is, as it represents a major portion of a very popular Hollywood movie? And the first person that can call me and tell me what day this is, according to a very famous movie, I will buy your lunch at Lunch Bunch. I promise. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, it's Back to the Future Day.
Do you have a radio on over there?
I do.
Turn it off, please. I appreciate it, because you're really feeding back on me. I can't hear anything. What's your name, sir?
My name's Trent Bodley.
Trent Bodley. Now, you said it is Back to the Future Day. How did you remember that?
Well, it's been in the news a little bit, I think.
It has. And, you know, I remember in the movie when they looked at those gauges in that DeLorean car, and it was 10/21/15, and, of course, the wild-haired professor and Michael J. Fox and everybody else. Trent, doggone it, you just won a free lunch at Lunch Bunch tomorrow, and if you'll come over to Denny's and introduce yourself to me, I'm buying your lunch.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right, Trent, thank you much for your call. Appreciate it.
You bet. Bye.
Yep, it is Back to the Future Day from what they prognosticated in that movie. And a lot of things came true that they prognosticated in that movie. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
He hung up.
Oh, he hung up. We had a winner. I was shocked. Thank you, Trent Bodley. You are the winner of a lunch, and be sure and be there tomorrow at Denny's. You know what else we've got to tell you about is Four Paws. Now, I get a kick out of this every year when Kathy and her staff have this great big Halloween party for the dogs. I love it. They put them in costumes. And they have the whole party goes to the dogs. And it's a Halloween party, and it's the annual one on Saturday, October 31st at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert. And they have a parade of costume dogs and the owners starting at 1 o'clock that day, followed by prizes for dogs and family members. I'm giggling because I think it's such a neat idea, and they've had such a success with this. And there's going to be refreshments for everybody. So put that on your list of things to do. Deck out your Doberman or your Shih Tzu. I always hate saying that because I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble. But anyway, it's going to be a Halloween party going to the dogs at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Rupert on Saturday, October 31st at 1 p.m. Don't miss it. I'm telling you, that is something to see. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Remember, and you got to say it right like they do, Ahmed. We talked about Ahmed yesterday, and they always sound like they're choking when they say this name, Ahmed. Ahmed the clock boy. Well, listen, there's more to Ahmed's story. He met with Obama, and of course, Obama put his arm around him and just thought he was the cat's pajamas. And listen to this, after he met with Obama back in the White House, Ahmed announced that he's leaving Texas. And moving to Qatar in the Middle East. Oh, does it give you a little uneasy feeling that Ahmed, the 14-year-old wizard with the clocks, leaving to go to the Middle East, and he already had a picture showing him with his arm around a terrorist murderer? Kind of a warm, fuzzy, cozy feeling, isn't it? Knowing that Obama just railed about how great this young man was and how we were all wrong for being concerned about him building a clock that looked like a bomb, and school was scared, all the teachers were scared, the students were scared, but Ahmed, the clock boy, is leaving and going back to the Middle East. Let's all wave goodbye, Ahmed, and good riddance to some extent. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Ahmed. How'd you like to have a name like Ahmed? Don't forget Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, with Zach and the rest of the crew. All your lumber needs, all your carpeting needs, all your shingles. You better make sure you're ship-shape for winter. And all your windows, too. The Western windows. Now, I'm telling you, save on your heating bills this winter. Keep the warm air in and the cold air outside. You check it out today at Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, and they sponsor Dr. History on Tuesdays. Thank you very much. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm not going to offer any more free lunches. You got to call in on your own from now on. Boy, that was quick. Trent Bodley won that lunch. Good going. You know, what kind of pond scum, bottom of the barrel, is Jesse Ventura, the former Minnesota governor and former big hero on the phony wrestling tour, etc. Now, he wants more money, more millions from Chris Kyle's wife. Now, you remember the story? I'm just going to give you a rough synopsis on this. Chris Kyle had been, before he was murdered, Chris Kyle was on O'Reilly's program, and he made the statement that, coming out in his book, of course, at one point in a bar, Jesse Ventura was in the bar also, and Chris was in there with the other Navy SEALs. And Jesse Ventura supposedly stood up and said something derogatory about the Navy SEALs, and Chris Kyle popped him. I mean, let him have a fistful of knuckles. Well, Ventura with his pride and everything else, fought that and said it wasn't true. Remember all this? And he ended up with a ruling for some money, but he wants more. He wants to absolutely hurt Chris Kyle's wife. And he's saying, he was so defamed. He said, it's been so bad for me. Why, I've lost all kinds of money and I've lost all kinds of friends and everything. He says, I need more money. So he's going back after the widow again. And I'm glad, if it was true, and I have no reason to doubt that it wasn't true, that he gave Ventura a good right cross to the chin. And this man, Jesse Ventura, absolutely doesn't deserve another dime. He doesn't deserve his day in court. He's already had that day in court. Fade off into obscurity, Jesse Ventura. What a waste. What an absolute waste of a life and a cause. Jesse Ventura, worthless. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, when you call and make an appointment with Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, those folks are so caring and they're so thorough about making sure they understand everything about your injury or the debilitating aspects of what you're there for, whether it's arthritis, whatever it might be. And they know all about the exercises and the sports medicine, and a really great, and the only one of its kind around the area, that hydrotherapy pool. Oh my goodness, with the treadmill in the bottom. Absolutely, they can help you at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation get back to being yourself. That's right, helping you get back to being you. Number to call for an appointment is 678-1191. 678-1191. Now, somebody's going to say to me, well, are you going over there? You know what? With my schedule, I am absolutely committed this fall and winter to going in there at least twice a week. I got to get things organized, and I've got to. I'm really going through some problems on my hip, and I know they can help. At Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. All right, come on now, folks. The last 2 days we have had phone calls, but not as many as we like. I love visiting with you. Give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. How, and I mean this, there is such a deep division right now between the two parties, Republican and Democrat. And honestly, I'm sitting here in front of you folks this morning, and I want you to help me on this. How could anybody really espouse and fall in lockstep with the Democratic Party? I'm asking. They're so shallow and addle-headed, and yesterday, the Democrats killed the bill to end federal funding to sanctuary cities. They did, the Democrats. And basically, what they did was say no to getting rid of illegal alien criminals, let them stay here, and protect them. This is insanity, just amplified to the highest number. I can't believe that anybody that is in office as a congressman or a senator could look at their constituents in the eye and say, well, I put the illegal aliens over you and your safety, and we're going to create more funding, more money to go to these sanctuary cities like San Francisco, etc., and give them, the illegal alien criminals, a safe haven. Where are the constituents yelling, screaming, with pitchforks in their hand outside the doors of these senators and congressmen? Where are they? I mean, this is absolutely crazy. And the dimmest bulb in the fixture of the Democrats, Harry Reid, mocked the bill. I know many of you saw this on the news. He stood up and mocked and made jest of the bill. That is a bill to protect us and our families. Like the bill that Bill O'Reilly was advocating, Kate's Law. And simply put, Kate's Law would have absolutely come down on these illegal alien criminals and added automatically 5 years onto their prison sentence. And the Democrats threw that out. They threw that out. And Harry Reid called the bill hateful and vile against, here's the key word, immigrants. They're not immigrants. They're here illegally. And they are illegally doing acts against us. Good morning, caller. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, Zed, I don't know if you heard about in Alabama, there was a lady who was riding her horse, and she was riding past a place out in the country, I'm assuming, and there were 12 dogs that they found out that were trained to fight, and a group of men, Hispanic men, and these dogs attacked this lady on her horse, and they were tearing away at the horse, and eventually she was bucked off because the horse was trying to defend itself. Her face was scarred up, and these men stood there and did nothing. And this is just an example of what can happen when we don't have control over what kind of people are allowed into our country.
Right there, my blood is boiling. I had heard excerpts of that story. And I can tell you, as a guy that rides horses a lot, probably a lot more than most people, their dogs scare me to death. All of a sudden, whether they're in a pack, whether there's 2, 3, 4, whatever, and they can cause all kinds of havoc, especially when you're riding a horse. And to have this happen, and this poor woman was subjected to being basically almost mutilated to death by these dogs, and have these guys stand there, I can tell you my first response, Randy. I can tell you my honest first response. If I were a husband or a relative, I'd be going back there with a shotgun loaded with the biggest buckshot I could find, and I would shoot to kill every one of those dogs.
Well, the dogs were, they at least put the dogs down, and they had evidence that they were not to be, left alive. And I don't know where they're prosecuting the owners. Because there was a quarterback for the Eagles who went to jail for stuff like this.
Yeah, Michael Vick, yeah.
Let's hope that these men were given the same justice.
Yeah, but wait a minute. It doesn't make any difference if it's a dog attack in the southeast. It doesn't make any difference if it's a shooting and a killing on a pier in San Francisco. How? And I really need somebody to explain this to me. How can an American with any kind of decency whatsoever, any kind of decency that is supposed to be representing his constituents, how can they honestly go ahead with funding sanctuary cities and aid and abet criminals that are illegal aliens? Randy, help me. How?
Well, it's always the same thing. If there's not enough pushback, they're going to continue to do what they do. It's just like there's been tons of pushback on the refugee center, and the other night I was watching Channel 11 to watch the weather, because that's about all I get out of it, and I noticed that they were doing a favorable piece on the refugee center in CSI. Now, CSI has been a great institution for southern Idaho. But when the leadership wants to, bring in potentially lethal refugees, and we do not know.
That's right.
That we do, but you see, they cannot prove that.
That's right.
We're running the risk.
And we're seeing little by little, and I had some guy call me the other day and say, well, great things with cultural diversity. Really? Really? I'm not really in favor of seeing the United States turn into all these different cultures. I think if they want to come here, they can melt and mold into our culture. And I don't want to see a change. I'm going to stay just the way I am, and I'm not going to be called a bigot and a hate monger by these people and forced to accept a cultural diversity that I think is going to be bad for us now and future generations, Randy.
Well, America's like a big family, and when she's broke, it's hard to fix her. And
Amen.
she's breaking as we speak.
Amen. Randy, always appreciate your call. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Caller number 2, don't you dare go away. I got to do a quick commercial right at the bottom of the hour, and I'll be right with you. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Dr. Christine Pickup. She helped me, and she can help you. I mean, if you've got hearing problems, whether they're minuscule or major, she can help you. All you have to do is call 312-0957. She's going to be on our program tomorrow, as a matter of fact, and she's located across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, and the number again for a hearing screening to make sure you're not missing anything, 312-0957. You call her today, Dr. Christine Pickup at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Hey, don't forget on Mondays we give away a half dozen delicious cinnamon rolls from our dear friends at Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-0354. Oh my, they've got a great bakery along with their restaurant right there. You're going to love it. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I have one big, huge question. Where, when we are in $18 trillion debt, are they getting the money to for all of the bullshit crap that's going around?
From you?
From me?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to give them a penny.
Helen, I'm not trying to be facetious, but I am absolutely... I'm just taken aback. I don't understand how this country, the greatest country ever in the world's history, can resort to the loser attitude that the Democrats are forcing on us right now, and especially with the sanctuary cities, especially with the protecting of illegal aliens. Illegal here? Yes. Alien? Yes. They're not citizens of this country. Call them what they are. And giving them all the benefits and the protection, and we're the ones that are having to suffer.
It's mind-boggling. What is the matter with this world?
Well,
what's the matter with the United States?
I wish, honestly, Helen, in all seriousness, I could answer that question, because I'll tell you one aspect that I think would help cure some of the ills. You may not agree with me, but knowing you and Dal, I think you will. We need to get back to the basics and the premise of God.
Amen, Brother Ben. If we don't, we're up the creek.
Thank you, Helen. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
You know, last night I was watching TV and I heard something. I wasn't really watching it, but it was the news, and it caught my ear. And they were talking about Obama in his 08 campaign, and they have a file on this, so they know it is true. I won't hold that to you, but they said it was. That he had a great displeasure for the Jews, and he would do everything to help these people. What do they call them people that's trying to stab them?
Keith, I could barely hear you. Go ahead and say that again, please.
Who are the people that are supposed to be trying to stab all the...
Oh, the Hamas, the terrorist group Hamas.
Hamas.
Yeah.
Only he called them by the country that's supposed to be.
Yeah, the Palestinians,
because
yes.
If he were elected president, he would do everything in his power to help them.
You know, Keith, I do not understand, and you're a little bit older than I am, but not much. I do not understand how this country can do and say the things that they've done with this Obama administration to not support our allies and denigrate our allies and create fear in the hearts of our allies as to the transitions and changes we've made with foreign policy that are alienating them. If I were an Israeli, I would absolutely be sitting back going, America has abandoned us.
Well, these people, they're Arabs, you know, just like the rest of them, and they're terrorists. And they're teaching these children, they're 3 and 4 years old, how to stab a Jew.
Yeah.
And that is the most sickening thing I've ever heard of.
Well, what's the difference between that and or teaching them how to build a bomb and or teaching a 10-year-old, as we've seen on videos with ISIS, to walk up behind some of the prisoners and execute them with a bullet to the head? Our world is insane because there is no longer a respect for right and a respect for God. And I am absolutely adamant saying that this country is down the trail of going into the same cesspool if we don't turn things around.
Yeah, what is your feeling about these people that protected this Ahmed?
Oh, protected him?
Ahmed, it reminds me of the ventriloquist who has that Ahmed or something.
Yeah, Ahmed the terrorist, yeah. My attitude is on this kid, my attitude is on the schools and the people that were concerned. They had every right to be concerned. They had every right to do studies and think tanks about what could go wrong in the schools with a bomb, a gun, whatever. And for them and the president to protect this kid and put him up on a pedestal, I think is crazy, especially now knowing that he had his arm around and a great big smile on his face with a known killer terrorist, and now he's leaving Texas and going back to the Middle East.
To Qatar.
Right.
And you know dang well what the whole situation is. And what about his parents? They haven't said much about it, but you don't learn these things by yourself.
No, and I'm not going to comment too much on something that I don't have a lot of facts on. Keith, thank you for your call. Appreciate it. God bless you, man, for your thoughts. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ahmed, the clock boy. Caller, don't go away. I'll be right there, I promise. Please stay tuned. Berry Equipment and Rental. Deanne's handing me notes and everything, and I'm trying to keep up with all that's going on. I live in a tornado. Don't forget Berry Equipment and Rental with 3 locations: Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, South Lincoln in Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Have you been by Berry Equipment and Rental and slowed down and maybe pulled in and just looked at all the equipment that you could possibly need to get the job done and get it done right? It's all there. It's all there, whether it's the Bobcat skid steer loaders, the Coyote tractors, the great big Doosan loaders, everything at Berry Equipment and Rental, and really good people to help you learn how to run the equipment. And like I said, whether you're leasing or buying, they've got the equipment for you. Berry Equipment and Rental, Twin Falls, Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Caller, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
Yes, good morning, Zeb.
Hello, my friend.
Another thing that I'm disturbed by. Here we have the Democratic Party has Donald Trump under attack. Now, for the good of the country, Jeb Bush should be behind Trump because he knows he doesn't have a chance of the presidency. And I can't see him being part of the attack, joining the Democratic Party in the attack on Trump.
You know, there's so many goofy attacks on Donald Trump, and I'll say this one to you. Now, Secretary of State John Kerry has come out and said that Donald Trump should be disqualified from being possibly a president because Donald Trump has denied global warming. I'm telling you, the left and all their crazies and their stupid concepts of global warming, and for John Kerry to say that he should be eliminated from any chance at winning the presidency because he doesn't believe in global warming, this is nuts, Tony.
Global warming is a big farce, and it's a moneymaker for big business.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Tony. One of the top renowned physicists and self-described Democrats, Freeman Dyson. He's well known all over the world for his studies and his speeches on science, etc. He has come out and said Obama and the Democrats are wrong on global warming.
Well, this is something that, we're dealing with Mother Nature here, and I don't care who it is, you're not going to change the way things are happening.
Amen. The only thing that we can change is being nicer to each other. So in that case, I want you to walk over to Mary, give her a kiss good morning, and say, have a great day. Tony, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Hey, caller, stand by. I'll be right with you. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. 678-0459. Thank you, caller. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. Well, the whole problem is, everybody, you mention the word Constitution now, and everybody looks at you with glazed over eyes, what's that? Because the young people are not being taught that in school, anything about our Constitution, about, when the Constitution is the solution to our problems. We need to get back to it in the tradition of our founding fathers, not the way it's been interpreted. And you look at all the things that are going on, and you find these EPA, for example, when you mention the global warming thing. I mean, good grief. There's nothing scientific about what their edicts or anything like that. And the thing is, our whole system of justice has been turned upside down. It used to be, Zeb, that you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But with all these agencies, EPA has their own SWAT team and so forth. You're guilty. You got to spend jillions of dollars of your own money to fight off all of the government lawyers, which the taxpayers are paying for.
Yeah,
I attended the Support Your Local Police Committee, and believe me, the drive to create a national police force, ask how that worked out in Germany and how it works out in Russia and China and so forth. It don't work very well. And the drive to disarm us is, the last nail in the coffin as far as what a dictator wants.
All right, now wait a minute. Hold on just a second. Let me get in here. I want you quickly, and I don't want a long answer on this, Adrian, because I don't have a lot of time, but you are a doctor of agronomy. You understand what makes crops grow. Here is what a renowned physicist, Freeman Dyson, said in rebuttal to Obama and his staff on global warming. He said, quote, "The non-climatic effects of carbon dioxide as a sustainer of wildlife and crop plants are enormously beneficial." You have said that on my program for years, and why has the left been able to twist and turn this into a negative fashion for global warming is beyond me. Quickly, give me an answer.
Well, number one, it's the poster boy for the United Nations Agenda 21. And this is why they're pushing it. It's about total control of everything and everybody on the planet. And this is what it's all about. And, of course, our plants are actually starved for CO2. They need about 1,500 parts per million, and they're only getting 400. Most commercial greenhouses close up the greenhouses at night, pump in CO2, and let those plants really have a good chance to grow.
There you go.
And it is ludicrous as a plant scientist to see what has been done with carbon dioxide. Without it, we don't have any oxygen, and we don't have any food.
There you go.
I mean, how stupid is it to even think of reducing? And here's the bottom line. EPA even admits, with all these draconian, we can take away all the fossil fuels. It'll make no difference in lowering the temperature, and actually we're going into a cooling trend right now. And they call it a pause. Well, it's pausing, all right, because we go through these natural cycles. They've been going on long before we came on the planet.
All right, I got to run. That's all I got. Adrian, that's all I got for you right now, but you hit it nail right on the head. I am absolutely starting next week or the week after. We're going to devote many, many segments about the idiocy of the Democrats and the liberals with climate change and global warming. Thank you, and I'm going to have you on the program. Thank you very much.
It's maddening, folks. Wake up and tell people to stop the EPA, and we stop the funding. And Simpson and these guys...
I gotta go. Thanks, Adrian. I got to get the weather in. I'll have a lot more on this physicist, and he's world-renowned. And he said Obama's wrong, and John Kerry's wrong. Well, we've been saying that for a long time. Got to get the weather in. And the weather is brought to you by Mad River Laser, and they're located at 502 East Street in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, all the Halloween and fall goodies are over there. Nicole and the staff over there, they've got everything all decorated up. They can take care of all your business promotional needs. And, I mean, your high school team spirit with the custom-made jerseys with the name on them, and they've got the end-of-the-year business awards. Oh, my goodness, the list goes on and on. It's a fun place to go. Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. You stop in and see them today. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Well, good Wednesday morning, and as far as weather's concerned, this fog is going to be sticking around, but hopefully it will lift by this afternoon because we're supposed to see some sunshine for today. High of 63. Tonight, expect an overnight low of 39. Going to be slightly breezy for today as well. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 62 with an overnight low of 38. That's going to roll over to Friday, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Partly cloudy for Saturday and 65, and sunny and 67 for Sunday. Yesterday's high was 50 degrees, and tonight sunset will be at 6:43. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, thank you, Gina, and brought to you this hour by Mad River Laser at 502 East Street in Rupert. Nicole, thank you. We appreciate your sponsorship of the weather for this hour. Oh, by the way, I just got handed a note from Deanne. Today is the Declo Cowboys' birthday, Ray Bagby. Ray Bagby's having a birthday, so we say happy birthday, Ray, and many, many more. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. What do you think about you and your family, your wife, everybody in your family being minimized and basically a target in favor of illegal aliens that are criminals and left to roost in this country, unchallenged in sanctuary cities? The Democrats love that. We had a chance yesterday to get rid of the funding for sanctuary cities. It's an idiotic program anyway. Absolutely anybody that supports sanctuary cities and the premise of it, they ought to have a good visit to a psychiatrist. But now you and I are less in safety and value than illegal alien criminals that are living and residing in this country and know that they can hide in the open in sanctuary cities. This is absolutely insane. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. On Mondays and Thursdays, tomorrow, we'll have segments about the greatness and all the wonderful people at the Minidoka Memorial Hospital at 1224 8th Street in Rupert. Tomorrow, we're going to be featuring Carl Hansen, and he's going to give us an overview of Minidoka Memorial Hospital, an independent community hospital dedicated to improving the health and well-being of the Mini-Cassia area. And they've got so many nice people. They've got so many different topics of conversation they want you to know about because your health is so important. They want you to work with the best that care. At Minidoka Memorial Hospital, 1224 8th Street in Rupert. Telephone number for questions and information, 436-0481. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just don't understand why we, the United States of America, have to receive and keep and nurture and basically provide living for other countries' bottom-of-the-barrel scum. And they can commit crimes, they can commit murders, they can commit burglaries, they can commit drunken driving offenses and kill people. And here they are living in what are called sanctuary cities, and they're almost like that television show of Days Gone By, The Untouchables. And Harry Reid and the Democrats, I'm laying the blame on them. I'm asking that all of us shoulder the blame over to them, and the Democrats cannot justify what was done yesterday. They can't justify this. It's absolutely pathetic thinking that we as taxpayers are supporting this idiocy. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a jingle. I want to hear from you. Holy smokes, there goes my good morning. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Whenever that little notice goes off on my cell phone, I jump about 3 feet up in the air with the trumpets and everything. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more about this deal with Secretary John Kerry. This is absolutely repugnant to me because I'm so sick of the nose-elevated Democrats that know less but put on the air of arrogant intellectualism. I kind of like what I just said. That's good. Anyway, John Kerry has come out and said that he thinks Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump and anyone else, listen to this very carefully, and anyone else who doubts the existence of man-made global warming have disqualified themselves from ever holding political office. And here is, I've got more proof against global warming and climate change as far as being man-made, and then these not-know-anything people that are blaming CO2, etc. Here you have renowned physicist and Democrat. He's a Democrat, Freeman Dyson, saying that President Obama is wrong about global warming. As a matter of fact, he said Obama took the wrong side on this issue, and the Republicans took the right side. He said, and he lamented, that scientists are ignoring obvious facts about global warming and continue to conflate air pollution, which he says is not behind global warming, with carbon dioxide. And they say that their carbon dioxide, some of these left Democrats say that it is a pollutant. It is not. It is very necessary for the health and the well-being of our planet and our climate. Here's a guy that knows. Here's a guy that studied it. Here's a guy that is an expert. And on the other side of the coin, you're going to listen to John Kerry, Mr. Ketchup Man, and think that he knows all about climate change and global warming? Are you kidding me? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. I still have time. I'm in mourning this morning. I was in such high hopes, honestly, that this could be the year. This could be the year that my baseball team, that I have suffered through and for decades, for them to possibly go on and be in the World Series. And I can tell you right now, it ain't going to happen. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I want to make sure I have ample time to talk to you. Stand by. I want to remind everybody about our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with all the tires you need for safe driving, like the Ultra Z900. Ooh, all-season design, and I'm telling you that is going to be a great tire for your car. Or also on sale, the Wild Country XTX Sport for the pickups and SUVs. The best in brake service with professionally trained technicians. Front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Hey, the weather's getting cooler in the morning. You better make sure that you've got a good battery to turn that engine over and get to work. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Zeb. You know, this John Kerry reminds me of a story that happened to me some years ago. And that's when this R12, you know, the coolant for your air conditioning. Yeah. It's so harmful to the atmosphere and the ozone layer and everything else. And I come across one of these nuts that really believed that, and I said, you know, I'll bet you $100 that you can get up 100 feet in the air and you cannot detect this in the air. I said, we'll hire a 100-foot cherry picker so you get up there to where you can see it and everything.
Yeah.
And let's try that. And I'll bet you $100. And the guy wouldn't do it.
Well, most of the left, and including even members and writers on the staff of the Times News, they have come out and they've kind of had their nose in the air like a lot of Democrats do, and they say, oh, well, anybody that doesn't believe in climate change, well, what's the matter with them? Woo, they're off on their rocking chair. Well, I'll tell you what, smart people that really study it, scientists, etc., understand that man-made climate change, are you kidding me? Man-made global warming, are you kidding me? And then blaming it on CO2, something that we need actually more of, because the colder the planet gets, you left loons, the less we're going to have in food, the less we're going to have in health, the less we're going to have in anything beneficial. Colder temperatures do not bear a better world.
Yeah, and on top of that, this new product, it's not new now, of course, this R134 that they use does not cool your car like the old R12.
No, absolutely not.
It was just a way to, and the original stuff sky-high'd up to $500 for a 30-pound can.
Yeah, it's all about control. It's all about control, and it's all about economics. Keith, I got to run to the news. God bless you for your call. I do agree with you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
We've got, boy, you don't want to miss this morning at 10:32. I have got Dr. William Briggs on the program, and you are never in your wildest dreams are you going to realize and appreciate what we're going to talk about. I'll give you a little teaser. There is a magnet being perfected to mess with your brain and stop you from believing in God. Whoa. You're listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call 312-0957 today. Now to the news from CBS. Oh my, here we go, hour number 2. I'll tell you one thing. The fog is burning off, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sky out there this morning. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. And we also want to acknowledge right now our great friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Boy, if you gather up stuff like I do, and I mean lots of stuff, you might need a dumpster like I do and get rid of all that stuff that is actually garbage. Well, I'll tell you what, get dumpsters in various sizes from Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. All you have to do is call them, 734-6969. They'll drop off that dumpster, you fill it up, and then they'll come get it. These folks are really, really good. Always at your disposal. Call 734-6969. Western Waste Services, serving you. Really, really nice people. Hey, don't forget, when I talk about really nice people, I'm talking about also Cheney Flooring and Home Design at 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. They sponsor our weather every morning when we start the broadcast at 8:06, and we certainly appreciate them. Look for the blue door, carpet flooring, kitchen construction, all your home decor items at Cheney Flooring and Home Design in Burley. Really nice people. You know, and that leads me right up to the next part of our conversation here this morning as far as Joel Heward, manager with his family and staff at Hanson Mortuary. They really, really care, and they believe that every life is worth remembering, and they serve you and your family with always the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. please give them a call today at 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636, and talk to them about pre-planning of funerals and help save the family a lot of stress and worry. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. It's Wednesday, and we go to the phone lines, and my old emphasis on old friend Dave Bego. How are you this morning, Dave?
I'm doing good, Zeb. Not quite as old as you are, but
let me just
be back on. I apologize that I got you confused last week, but I don't think you would have wanted to have me on because I was so sick I could hardly talk anyway.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you're feeling better, but now I got to start off the program on somewhat of a lighter note. Would you please tell me, being that you live in Indianapolis, Indiana, the home of the Indianapolis Colts, please, in all your omnipotent observatory visions and knowledge, what possessed the staff of the Indianapolis Colts to call the dumbest play ever in pro football?
I think that you used the right word in there. It just wasn't in the right place. You're talking about the dumbest staff. And, there's so many people around here that are so upset about that, and I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a change in the near future, because I think the staff was already in trouble.
Dave, honestly, you've played sports, I've played sports. That psychology of that play at that particular time when you had a chance to knock off one of the perennial all-time great teams, the Patriots, what in the world could have been going through their mind to call something that was absolutely so fragmented as that play?
Zeb, I really don't know. Except you step back and you look at people like that and they think, well, we'll try and outfox them, we'll trick them. They won't be thinking about something like this at this time, and we'll make something big out of it. And instead of just sticking to their normal guns and routine and doing what they do best, that's how you win ball games. And I just, it's a decision-making process, and I just think this staff, when it comes to the games and actually, play calling and what they do during the game is just not very good.
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about some other play calling. Let's talk a little bit about the maybe Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. He's kind of issued his 10 commandments, if you will, as to what everybody must adhere to if he'll accept the position of Speaker of the House. What are your thoughts about him and the job he might do?
Well, I think Paul Ryan has got some ability, and he can do it. And I think Zebby's got some spine too. Although there's times I've seen him, back off. And what we need is somebody in that position that really has some spine and will stand up and challenge the other side and stand behind the principles of this country and do what's right for this country. And at this point, I would rather see Paul than somebody else, but it'll be interesting where this goes, whether he will get the support that he's demanding in those different areas.
Now, if he doesn't get that support and he doesn't assume that role of Speaker in the House, we're right back at square one on the Monopoly board, and how much longer can the GOP stand to play this silly little game with no leadership?
Well, they can't. That's just it, Zeb. And I've talked about this many times on your show, is that the GOP is just showing lack of leadership and backbone. And, here in 2014, they got the majority and they've done nothing with it, because it all comes down to the same old thing is, if we do this, will we get reelected, or what are our chances of getting reelected? And we got to have politicians that, quit looking at it that way and go out and do what's right for America and stand up, because I think what they'll find is Americans will go, yes, that's what we needed, that's what we're looking for, and it'll move them ahead.
I do too. Let me change and go to the other side of the aisle right now with Hillary Clinton. Some of the very volatile remarks that she's made in favor of kind of a socialist nation like Bernie Sanders, in favor of taking more of our money away with higher taxes, in favor of income inequality, in favor of bigger and larger unions. I would imagine that an entrepreneur and businessman like yourself, you're just sitting there going, oh my goodness, I certainly hope somebody somewhere will stand up and not let Hillary become the nominee.
Yeah, you know, Zeb, she's one of those typical politicians. She's kind of like the union bosses. She'll say whatever she needs to say at the time to get the votes she needs. And I still think she's going to implode before it's over with. But God help us if she gets elected, because she doesn't have a clue how to run this country and what's right for this country. And I think that if we can just get some people up there who will expose her and keep her on the defensive all the time, that will be her end.
Dave, what about this? And I've termed it in my own phraseology, I could be wrong, but I call it the Robin Hood economics of the left. You know, demonizing and taking everything from those that have and giving it to, literally giving it to, those that don't want to do anything to earn it. And it seems like this is a major play right now within the Democratic Party. And boy, like you said, Lord help us all if that takes over as the leadership in the Oval Office.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's what they want to do, Zeb. As I've mentioned to you before, their goal is not to help the American people. They do these things, and again, I have seen all this when I fought the SEIU. They went out and made these same type of promises to people. You know, we're going to get this for you, we're going to do this for you, more wages, better benefits, you guys are going to have to work as hard, you have to work as often, and I mean everything they can to brainwash people, because they know people are naive and that the American people really aren't paying attention, and that, you know, employees don't pay attention when the unions come in and do that stuff. And it's up to us and people to realize what's going on, to stand up and expose these people for what they really are. And we don't have to do it by name-calling or all that. We just have to expose their agenda and give examples of it. And you know what I found out when you do that? People wake up and they sit back and they go, yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely.
And but we need more people that are willing to get out and address this issue and challenge the other side.
But, you know, one of the issues that came up yesterday, I was absolutely just knocked right back on my hip pocket. The Democrats, they voted and carried the vote to keep on funding sanctuary cities, which in essence is telling the bad guys, the illegal alien criminals, don't you worry, we're going to make sure that you have a safe place to hide. This is absolutely insane at the risk of honest, God-fearing people. We're all targets to these people, and they know they can hide legally.
Yeah, and the thing is that this is all about votes. They want these people coming across because they feel like they need the Hispanic vote.
Right.
And they're not talking about the legal Hispanic vote. They're talking about the illegal Hispanic vote. And they'll put people's lives at risk to do that. And jobs and the American economy, I mean, you can go down the line and just check off the things that they're putting at risk in this country. And on the other side of it, too, is in these sanctuary cities, most of them, they want gun laws that prohibit guns. So you're doubling the problem that you have. And again, Zeb, we have to have people that go out and expose this stuff. And I just can't believe that we didn't have people on the Republican side that didn't do more to go after this. And, you know, they could have split that vote, by the way. They could have done one and got part of what they wanted and then gone on and got the rest of it. But they don't have the backbone to really go out and do this, because they look at it and say, if I do this, I'm going to lose votes on the other side.
Right. I want you to give me your dissertation this morning about Donald Trump. You know, there are a lot of friends of mine that I've sat down and talked politics with, and they said, okay, yeah, he's leading in the polls right now. He's very volatile. He gets people really stirred up. But can he sit in the Oval Office, and can he be the President of the United States with all the duties and everything else that job demands, and leave the businessman attitude behind and run the country of the United States of America? I'd like to hear from you what your thoughts are.
Well, I'm sure he could, Zeb. He's a smart man, and he's been through a lot of different things. I mean, he had a learning curve, obviously, but he is going to have to polish up his act because, and again, I've discussed that with you before. You know, he gets on things like the 9/11, and he just gets people all fired up. And I actually was reading an article in Red State today. A guy that's doesn't think Trump should be the nominee. He says, you look at all the things that about Trump. He was a donor to the Clinton and other Democrats. He used Michael Moore's talking points on 9/11. He defended federal funding of Planned Parenthood. He's adopted Democratic rhetoric on the need to raise taxes, publicly professing a love for eminent domain. And the guy goes, this isn't even include all of his stuff lately. And he's saying, why do Americans want him? And some of the stuff is true, and it is concerning, but the other side of it is we need somebody that knows how to run a business and how to run a group of people and manage them. And we don't have that in a lot of our other candidates.
Are the bottom-tier candidates, like the Rand Pauls and the Mike Huckabees and the others, are they taking away from the Republican possible nominees, or should they have dropped out earlier, or do you think it's great to have them still hanging on by their fingernails with no money and basically no percentage of the polling votes? What are your thoughts about those folks?
Well, I think it's too early to tell where this is all going to go. We still got a few months here, but the other side of it is that it's inevitable that they're not going to make it as the final candidate, and you would like to see them as we progress here the next few months step back and get behind somebody they think is really a strong candidate. And but I don't know, some of these people, they get on this and they just won't let go. And sometimes you got to just step back and say it's time to let go.
Tomorrow is a big day, and whether or not some or all of the major networks cover this story, it'll be interesting to see what they do and say. But Hillary is going to appear before Trey Gowdy and that Benghazi committee, and lurking out in the shadows, listening to every word, is Joe Biden. Your thoughts on this mess with Hillary, the potentiality of really putting this woman in deeper trouble, and Biden waiting possibly to throw his hat in the ring?
Well, I met Trey Gowdy, and I like him. He's he is very to the point, and he's sharp, and he is definitely going to go after her. I think there's a good chance he could really expose things, and that could be part of this. When I say I think she's going to implode, I think this could be part of it. And as far as Biden in the background, I don't know. I just don't know if Joe Biden really has what it takes to get into the race at this time and really be a national candidate and go out and talk to the people and that. I just don't see Joe as that type of individual. And my gut feeling, and I could be wrong, obviously, is I think we'll see Joe just kind of stay behind the wings for the rest of the time.
Okay, there was so much talk, and this is kind of an interesting subject to me because I applaud the school administration in Texas where Ahmed, the clock boy, built his clock, and it scared everybody thinking it was a bomb, and then all of us that are conservative, we were chastised by the liberal left saying, how dare we? Now it comes out that this kid has had pictures of him with his arm around lately, a Muslim terrorist killer over in Qatar, and goes to meet with Obama, and then it comes out this morning that he and his family are going to leave Texas and go to the Middle East. I mean, wow, this is a really big story about a kid that maybe all that glittered was not gold.
Yeah, it's amazing. And what this points to me is the media and how they cover things, Zeb. And I was actually talking to somebody earlier about this, is that the mainstream media really won't get behind the true topics in this country and problems we have. And they only want to go for the things that either they liberally support or will stay away from the other stuff, or they won't get behind some of the stuff they should talk about because they're afraid to, because of intimidation tactics behind the scenes by the unions and other people who want them to support the Democratic Party.
Dave, one final thought here this morning, and we're suffering, and I think we're going to become even more cognizant of the dangers of the refugee program and the bringing in of Middle Eastern refugees right here into my area. I don't know about Indianapolis and the surrounding area back there, but here we are looking at an economical program in this country that we're hurting. We have not got the money. We're talking about cutbacks. We're talking about our seniors not getting what they have coming, but yet we're willing to give all of these people a better life in this country, and the taxpayers pick up the bill. What are your thoughts about the refugee program with all these possible 200,000 Muslims coming in from Syria and the Middle East?
Well, Zeb, I believe that we're a nation of laws and we abide by our laws, and that we should close the borders. And if these people want to come into this country, they have to come on their own accord, and they have to go through the process. And we shouldn't be bringing these people in. A lot of people say I'm insensitive, but I'm not insensitive. What we have to teach the rest of the world is that they have to stand up and develop their countries to take care of their people. And we can't put up with people that are out there trying to destroy who we are. And it's time that we stood up. And I was watching Fox News the other night, a couple of guys that wrote a book that were in the armed forces, and they said, we don't need to be strong so we can go out and fight other people. We need to be strong and protect our borders, because we need people to understand that they better not come after us, because if they do, we have the ability to take care of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any final thoughts this morning? I'm going to turn the page and let you, if you have another subject, go ahead and throw it at me. I've got about 2 minutes left. Anything else you want to comment on this morning, Dave?
Just that my old buddies, the SEIU, they are struggling. Even though the president is working on card check and that, it's come to our attention that across the country the SEIU is getting decertified in places like Texas and out in California and places, and then in Washington because of the U.S. Supreme Court Quinn decision this past year about, I don't know, this was on the home health care workers, that they don't have to be unionized. Mm-hmm. The state of Washington come out and said, yeah, they don't have to be unionized. They can't force unionize them. And the SEIU, out of 7,000 home health care workers, has had over half of them drop out already in the last couple of weeks here. And they're seeing this type of thing across the country. And I think this speaks not just to the SEIU, but to other unions that are force unionizing people just to get their union dues.
Absolutely. My friend Dave Bego back in Indianapolis, Indiana, and he and I have been offered the job of being the offensive coordinators for the Indianapolis Colts, because we could do probably a lot better job.
Yeah, I think we would have won the game the other night.
Okay. Dave, God bless you, man. And we'll talk to you next Wednesday. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great week out there.
Thank you. Dave Vigo, Indianapolis, Indiana author and absolutely a great blog writer. And he wrote the books, The Devil at My Doorstep and The Devil at Our Doorstep, regarding the SEIU and the danger of unions. And we appreciate him being on the program this morning. Don't forget, let's ride. Yep, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. Yes, sirree, that is where the fun is sold. Look outside this morning. Just look outside. A little bit of fog still hasn't burned off, and then look up in the hills and look at all the different colored leaves, and it just kind of a cool, crisp morning. Oh, man, get on a 4x4, a Suzuki 4x4, and enjoy the hills. Yes, sir, they've got them all at Let's Ride. And they've also got all the snowmobiles and the timber sled snow bikes. Boy, it's not too early to be thinking about that snow. It's right around the corner. And great accessory department and service department. Need something fixed? Hey, they can get the job done and get you back out enjoying the great Idaho outdoors. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and Hayburn. And it's true. It's where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. While you're over in that neck of the woods, don't forget to Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. They know. That's their job. They know protection for you. That's right, locally owned and very accessible and devoted to serving you. Call for an appointment today at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really nice people. And also, before we get our next guest on the phone for this morning, I want to remind you again about our friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric with Lennox. They can offer rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. That's right, gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps, whatever. They can help you, and you can save money. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 678-0459. And Lennox, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Another quick note here real quick. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow at 11:30 we're going to have our lunch bunch for the month of October, and that's going to be at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. We start at 11:30, and Old Wheels, he kind of helps me get out of here a few minutes early so I can race down the highway to get there. So starting time 11:30, and that's, of course, at Denny's Restaurant at 611 Overland in Burley. And our thanks also to those that have helped provide gift certificates, including Smith's Food and Drug, along with Hanson Mortuary, and Walmart, and Stokes Food Center. I'm trying to answer the phone, and I'm trying to look at my copy, and I didn't do very well at any one of them, and I think it was Wheels telling me that we're all set to go for our next interview. So, again, don't forget Lunch Bunch at 11:30 tomorrow morning at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. I talked to this next gentleman on the phone a couple of weeks ago and asked him if he would come on my program. Lives up in the Riggins area. His name is Ken Walters, and I'm very blessed to have him come on and talk about the extremely dangerous fire that ravaged his area up in Riggins, and what it meant for him and his family as far as trying to fight the fire and the feds trying to let it run rampant. Ken, good morning. How are you this morning?
Great. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Well, it's my pleasure to have you on the air. Ken, before I get to the nitty-gritty as to what happened and what didn't happen, tell us a little bit about your operation. You're, I believe, a rancher and also have a bed and breakfast up there. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, we have an elk ranch where we do hunts, we sell elk meat, we do bed and breakfast, and one preserve in particular is about 1,200 acres on up at about 6,000 foot elevation. We have a lodge up there, and that's where the fire activity took place.
Well, now, Ken, when this fire started, what happened? I mean, give us a kind of a background of this. Was it possibly, in your opinion, containable if they would have got right on the fire? And how did it get so far out of control?
Yeah, Yes, it started with one snag, and yes, it definitely could have been put out if they'd have put, their story is no resources, and it's the same old story. Yes, it could have been put out, and, it's nothing new. It's just just how they do things, and they got to analyze the situation, and the safety issue is a big issue, of course, and we understand that, but at the same time, one snag burning for 2-3 days surely could have been put out by a bucket of water or two, and a lot less than the millions of dollars they spent on it just managing the fire.
All right, now let's go to the next subject, because we've seen the same thing happen down here in this area, a kind of a let-it-burn philosophy and policy. Why? Why destroy such a beautiful portion of nature and almost burn you out as a private property owner? Why would they let this thing go?
I have no idea. No idea. This fire alone, I would hate to say, but I'm an ex-logger. I've logged for several years, and I suspect there's close to 1 billion board feet of timber burned up. That's not 1 million, it's 1 billion. If not more, burn up in this fire. And I do not understand, and it is sad to see our natural resources thrown away like this. It's just, I don't know, people don't understand, I guess, what made the United States so great, and it is our natural resources. Especially our renewable resources like our timber. Just let it burn and not even do anything with it. Let it rot on the ground.
Let me ask you this.
It does not make sense to me.
Ken, let me ask you this, and I know I don't want to mention any names, and I know you don't want to turn this into a mudslinging contest, but I do want to know more information. You had your private property threatened, and you were begging for help to make sure that you didn't lose everything that you and your family have tried to put together over the many years. What was the federal response? Were they willing to help you, or did they just stand back and basically ignore your pleas?
Well, yes and no. As far as our lodge is concerned, they did help us up there. We had fire lines around it before they even showed up. We had water available to wet the lodge and the outbuildings down, and they did put some water up there, which didn't work when the fire did come through, but the water was available, and they had some sprinklers around part of it, and it sure all helped. Used retardant. They dropped some retardant, but other than that, no, we was safe. We had everything there in place, but we did appreciate their help on that. But at the same time, we had a bigger investment down over the hill with our elk and our fences and all the feed in there, and we repeatedly asked them to help us with that, and that they refused to do. Just refused to do it. And I kind of understand if it's a safety issue, we have no problem with that. Tell us it's a safety issue, we won't go in there, and we could go in there and do our own thing, but they don't work that way. They say, well, we got to go look at it, we got to analyze it, and it's just one story after another.
Now, do you feel, Ken, that the people that were on the ground representing the Forest Service and the commanders of the various firefighting groups, do you feel like they didn't do their job and they didn't put forth an effort? I know I was reading various accounts in the newspaper, etc., and they basically just stood back and didn't do anything to assist you. Is that true?
That is true. That is true, yes. We did have one incident commander that said later on to go down, and they was going to attack the direct, and I guess the team refused to go down there for safety reasons, because we was in there, and they had several reasons why, and I can go through them one by one. They wrote a report up on the safe net, and which was all untruths. 90% of it was not true at all. And I noticed that these guys that wrote this up was not willing to put their name
on
what they claimed.
Now, there was a part of the story, and I know you've been very open and forthright and honest with me on the telephone calls we've made, but there was a part of the story where supposedly some members of the Forest Service felt like they were being bullied or threatened because some of you had firearms on. Would you explain that to my audience?
Yes, I would be glad to. Yes, right after that fire burnt through, we pack pistols all the time. That's just one thing we do up there, and rifles in our pickup. And we never once threatened the Forest Service with pistols, no guns, absolutely nothing even close to that. We did get in some verbal confrontations, yes. And I can go through that and what all that was about. This one guy kept telling us he was going to go look at it. The fire that was burning down below our property, and I offered to take him down there and look at it, and he said absolutely not, but he said he would. And 8 hours later, he still hadn't went and looked at it. So I don't know how he determined it was unsafe, being that, not even go and look at it. But anyhow, he just flat refused to do anything, and that's when we got in a verbal confrontation. And according to that article in SafeNet, he felt threatened, and he told his team to leave. Mm-hmm. And that is not true. We asked him to leave. We just flat told him, if you don't want to help us out, you don't want to do the job, just leave it up to us, and we'll do her.
Do you feel...
And then the next day, we met with the incident commander, and we stood right up there and seen the fire down there, looked at it on the map, and he says, we will hit that direct. Mm-hmm. And then they refused to go down there and do it.
I see. Ken,
we went down there with the crew the next afternoon when they didn't show up. We'd had water tenders. This is all volunteer help from my friends, by the way.
Right.
Come up there, and there was a few of us over 60 years old. Looked at the situation. No safety problem at all. We went down with water tenders, had over 2,000 feet of hose out, and started fighting the fire. And this one guy still refused to come down there with the team. And for what reason, I do know, but they just didn't want to help us. And then second day, they finally got another team that come down and helped us, and we worked side by side with them, and everything was great. We felled trees for them. We filled their water packs with water. That was the only water that was available, what we was hauling down there. And everything turned out great, and we got that fire out on that side to West Fork.
Let me ask you this question, Ken. After listening to the story, and also thank you very much to Sarah for sending us a lot of the information that I have here in front of me. This let it burn policy by the federal government, this policy is devastating to private property owners. It's devastating to our American heritage of beautiful forests. Why? I got to ask you your opinion. Why in the world does the government want to let this beautiful tree-lined mountains and everything burn up, never to come back again? It makes no sense to me. What's your thinking about why they would have a let it burn policy?
I wished I could answer that, but I cannot. It's sad. And just to see, the fire, the destruction it does, I can't answer it. I'm sorry. I wished I knew a simple answer for that.
When you look at politics in this situation, Ken, and we're going into a 2016 election year, do you think a change of administrations, a change of philosophy, a change, if you will, of common sense will make it better for people out here in the West regarding these fires?
Well, yes, I sure hope so, and it's got to change because it can't keep up like this. It's a big money game, and the taxpayers are losers, and we're all taxpayers, and we're all losers in this situation. It makes absolutely no sense. When something could have been put out for a few $1,000s, stopped when it started, and then end up we spend millions and millions, and I know several million, probably well over 50 million on this one fire, and that might not even be close, but and just watching it burn. That's all they do.
Now, Ken, one final thought here this morning, and then I'm going to let you go, but I want to thank you so much for your honesty and your candor on the program. But there's been a lot of people say that we should try to take over the federal lands in our states and have them managed by the state. And what are your thoughts about these fires and then having them more regulated and maintained by the states instead of federal government?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. I support that 100% because, the big story is they say the state can't afford to fight these fires. Well, if they put them out, they don't have to fight these fires. They don't have to manage them. They need to put them out. And I'm sure they would. And yes, if they had the same policies the Forest Service has now, yeah, it'd be a waste. But yes, I'm 100% behind taking our lands back and manage them correctly.
Now, what about your own personal business with your elk ranch and your bed and breakfast? Is everything still going to be maintained and still be financially viable, or did the fire destroy your future with those businesses?
Well, we're going to try to hang in there. We had to cancel several hunts, the first part with the fire, but we got about a third of our preserve, and we may have to add on to it. I don't know what we're going to do, but the feed will come back, but the cover we had there will be gone, for quite some time. And not only in the preserve, I personally lost about 1,500, 2,000 acres of nice young timber land, and it's just all fried to a crisp, and some of it, it's probably not even worth logging.
Oh, my. Well, I want to extend to you and your family God's blessings, and I personally want to say thank you so much for sharing this story with us on the radio here this morning. I know you had to take time off from work to be on this phone way down at the bottom of the hill, but God bless you, Ken, and if there's anything we can do for you on this program, let us know.
Yep, and I'm sure I would be love to come on, and it's my side of the story, and I got guys, friends from town here that helped us out, and they would be glad to get on the radio and tell their side of the story, how we went down there, and there was no safety issue whatsoever, and there's a lot of things we could cover here, and we didn't even touch any of it hardly, but anyway, yeah, but safety, it is one of our concerns also, and that's the safety issue was just played to the hilt, and it was not an issue here whatsoever.
All right, well, I want to tell you that your good friend Larry Smith and I are going to be seeing each other. I'm going to Pendleton, and one of these days I'll stop up, and my wife and I will enjoy all your hospitality at your bed and breakfast up there. How's that?
Yeah, sounds fantastic, and yeah, we can show you right where all this happened, and I would love for some of these other guys that made these accusations about us to come up, like the fire lines on the Forest Service. We put no fire lines on the Forest Service, and we was accused of that, and several other things was all untrue.
All right. Ken Walters, again, God's blessings to you, and thanks for being on the program, and I'll be in touch for an update on this, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Looking forward to meeting you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. The fires up there in the Riggins area, the TP fire, just left unchecked, it was devastating. And according to many, many sources that I talked to, it didn't have to happen. It didn't have to be so devastating. And this let it burn philosophy is absolutely insane. And I personally am going to take the time and effort to go up there and survey the situation, see the situation. I know the Riggins area fairly well, and meet with these folks and have them back on the program at a future date. So again, our thanks to Ken Walters and his family for helping me get all the information on that huge, disastrous fire up at Riggins. And it didn't have to be that bad. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 438-2485 or 431-8733. Boy, now's the time. Looking outside, now's a great day to think about all the trimming and the pruning and the removal of tree limbs, and also get on the list. Get on the list. Don't let them freeze up. Your sprinkler systems. Have the lines blown out and ready for winter. Oh, and Scott's got a brand new curbing machine, too, so that if you want to have a curb around your property, that's the man to call. Scott Gano of Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. Right now, here's the weather with Gina.
Well, good Wednesday morning, and as far as weather's concerned, this fog is going to be sticking around, but hopefully it will lift by this afternoon because we're supposed to see some sunshine for today. High of 63. Tonight, expect an overnight low of 39. Going to be slightly breezy for today as well. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 62 with an overnight low of 38. That's going to roll over to Friday, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Partly cloudy for Saturday and 65, and sunny and 67 for Sunday. Yesterday's high was 50 degrees, and tonight's sunset will be at 6:43. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
She does a great job. Scotty filled in yesterday, and he did a great job on the weather. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service. And the numbers to call, 438-2485 or 431-8733. Thank you very much. Okay, got a few minutes here. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call about any topic that we've talked about this morning, or maybe a topic we haven't talked about. And I'd like to hear your opinion, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I am waiting for your call that I know is coming in, quickly, give me a jingle. Also want to remind you about Scow's CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts and 3 locations of Scow's in Rupert, Heyburn, and Burley since 1949. Every detail matters, parts, sales, and service. Caller, don't go away. I'll be right there. They have 3 locations to serve you, 323 East 8th Street and Highway 25 in Rupert, and, of course, CarQuest of Burley at 518 Overland in Burley, and the Big Truck Center at I-84 Exit 211, Scow's Truck Center. Don't worry about anything. Just go in there. They can help you with everything. Batteries, all the liquids you need for your vehicles for this winter, all the tools. They've got it all at your Scow's CarQuest Auto and Truck Parts Centers. Every detail matters at Scow's. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, sir. Just a FYI deal for those that might be wanting to go eastbound. Freeways sunshiny and clear once you get about 216 or so headed, exit 216 headed east. It's bright and pretty.
So you are witnessing right now on the interstate. I'm looking over that way right now out my window, and it looks like there's still a lot of fog cover over the interstate. Is that correct?
Well, Burley was just absolutely still soup, but I'm out almost to the old Raft River store, and it's just bright, sunshiny, and beautiful.
We never here at Murtaugh were enveloped with the fog situation as others were this morning. I know I had a call from Rupert from a good friend of mine, George Mass, and he said, boy, are you making it through the fog? And I looked outside and I said, yeah, we don't have any. And as I look over to the north and the east, I can see what you're talking about. It's still hovering over that interstate.
Well, it was really ugly around Burley. Well, now it looks like maybe down here in the Raft River Canyon, we may get back into a little bit. But in general, it's pretty much 80-mile-an-hour travelable.
Now, you are on the road frequently, sir. Tell me, I should remember, but you're a long-haul truck driver, aren't you?
No, I work on irrigation equipment.
Oh.
Around the country a whole bunch, down Nevada and all the way across Idaho.
Well, I know you've called on frequent occasions, and I always appreciate your call, and I really do appreciate this update as to what the fog's doing on the interstate. And we just urge people to drive carefully today.
That's correct. just drive carefully. There's a lot of vehicles out here.
All right. God bless you for your call. I appreciate it.
God bless.
Thank you very much. That was nice. That was really nice for him to call. And right here, absolutely no fog whatsoever. None, nada. But I can look out my window of the studio and I can look over towards the interstate. And boy, it does look like it's low and thick over on the interstate. So drive carefully. More calls appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And I'll wait for your phone call, and I'll, while I'm waiting, here we go again, I know you're going to call. Red's Trading Post, 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls, in historic Old Town Twin Falls. They've been there since 1936. Now, this is part of a personal plea and also the commercial. I absolutely urge you to go in and check out all the firearms at Red's Trading Post. The Browning, Beretta, Weatherby, Ruger, Benelli, Smith & Wesson, Winchester, all the ammunition, all the accessories with people that really know about guns. And when I say accessories, all the sights and the optics, all the knives, the gun cleaning kits, everything at Red's Trading Post. 203 5th Avenue South in Twin Falls. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thank you.
Good morning, Sam.
Yes, sir.
You know, here a week or so ago, you and I just had a chance to visit a little bit about Social Security and the EBT cards.
Right.
Were you able to find out anything more about that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I wasn't able to book anybody on that subject for this week, and I do have with the Media Research Center, they're working on a guest for either next Wednesday or Thursday on that EBT card, and hopefully I'll get an answer before the week's end.
Well, to just give the people a recap about what we were talking about is that how inexorable it is for us who are on Social Security and the people who have the EBT cards and Medicaid and that sort of thing, how we're being cast aside, and we are the ones that actually put up the money.
You know, Keith, let me ask you, you call in frequently during the week on this show, and when you hear stories about how senior citizens are being put on the back burner in this country and how they're slowing or stopping certain benefits, and I had an opening the other day on the program that basically summed it up. They keep talking about cutbacks on this and cutbacks on that, but there's never any cutback or shortage of money to help people on welfare or with welfare programs, and that's starting to be more than frustrating for me.
Well, the one thing that's frustrating for me is that all of our politicians vote for raises, and, of course, who's to fight against them?
Yeah.
I thought they were public servants, but they're just scavengers.
Well, I'm not going to argue your terminology. There's a couple of words that we could use on occasion for some of them that are not to be used on the radio.
Well, I'd like to mention one person individually that is our representative. That's Mike Simpson. And I just can't say anything positive about the man. He never comes around. He had a meeting in Twin Falls with the Twin Falls station here a while back.
Yeah. Mike is not.
Has to listen to it, but you know, does he care about the people in Mid-Acacia?
Well, I don't know. I've left the door open, Keith. I'm almost out of time here, but I'll just say this quickly. I've left the door open for Mike to come on this program anytime he wanted to. And this is not a brag. It's a fact. This is the most listened to talk show in all of this area. And for him to not want to come back because he is still upset about remarks that were made on a program over 2.5 years ago when I questioned him sending a letter to Michelle Bachmann at that time. She was questioning why the Obama administration was adding so many Muslims of the Muslim Brotherhood into the Obama administration. And basically, in a nutshell, Simpson chastised her for her criticism. And I think Mike is wrong, and I'm going to tell him he's wrong if he ever wants to come on this program.
I know he's wrong. And I would tell him that if I were face-to-face with him today, I would say you were wrong, Mike.
Well, I appreciate your call as always.
Is wrong.
I appreciate your
Like
call.
I said earlier on the program.
All right.
He was campaigning for presidency back in 08. He admitted that he had a dislike for the Jewish people, and he would fight for the people across the West Bank.
Yeah, on the Palestinian side.
And if that's not a bad signal, I don't know what is.
Keith, I got to run to the news. Thank you so much for your call again. Thank you, sir. Have a great day. We are, of course, going to have CBS News coming up in just a moment. You're listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening today. Call them at 312-0957. Take a little break. Be right back. CBS News is next. Oh my, what a pretty, pretty day outside. I guess if you're on the south side of the interstate where the sun's shining and blue sky, be careful out there. I understand there's still a lot of areas that are foggy, and driving, you want to be careful out there and be cognizant that maybe you can't see that far ahead of you on the interstate. Be careful with the fog, okay? Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them 734-6969. Right now, let's take a little tour over to the Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main in Burley, and let's see what the special is for today. My favorite. Sounds absolutely tasty. Sweet and sour chicken over white rice with veggies and super salad. Yes, sirree, Bobby. I love sweet and sour chicken. You will too at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Great menu choices, great specials every day, and really nice people serving you at the Chadwick Sports Grill. You stop in and see them today for sweet and sour chicken. Sounds really good. Let's go to the phone line right now. And one of the nicest people that I've ever had an occasion to meet in the last couple of months is Dan Whitman. And Dan is with Snake River Auto Body and Paint at 404 4th Avenue West in Twin Falls. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Doing good, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I got to tell you that it was just, I think, really more than just fate, because my wife and I stopped over to see you at Snake River Auto Body and Paint, and you, the business, the people, everything is first class, and you really took care of the old ding and the dent in my pickup and did an outstanding job. And I can tell you that you're probably going to agree with me, service is the name of the game at Snake River Auto Body.
That is for sure. We have some of the highest ratings nationally for our satisfaction out there, so...
Well, you know, Dan, let me ask you this. What about when people get a ding and a dent in the car or the pickup? Boy, in days gone by, you know, a lot of people just let them go, and then they started rusting out and everything. It's better to take care of those issues right away, isn't it?
That's for sure. If you get something like that, you want to take care of it as quick as it happens. Today's cars aren't like they were 20 years ago. There's a lot of things that can happen. You don't realize how many computers are actually in a vehicle right now. Just certain things like that you want to make sure you can take care of.
Now, when you say the computers, what are you talking about as far as a ding and a dent like I had in the side of my right fender, et cetera? I mean, where do the computers come into play on that, Dan?
Well, you know, when something like that is not necessarily going to be in your bedside, but if you have backup cameras for or backup sensors in your rear bumper, for us to fix your bedside, we've taken your bumper off so we're not working around it. If you have a problem with a sensor or something like that, it's amazing just in your rear bumper what it's going to deal with. It's going to set off codes in your car. You've got a screen on your radio or your navigation that's going to show you when you're backing up. That's not going to work right. And that's just on a rear bumper.
Now, Dan, do most people, and I was not aware of this until you told me, but do most people have any clue of all the different computerized parts and mechanization that if you get a ding or a dent, you got to have the whole thing properly fixed and tuned, or you could absolutely do a lot of harm to the engine? Am I right or wrong on that?
You know what? You're right. There's just, like I say, cars today aren't what they were 20 years ago. You get into a car and get into an accident, your airbag timing is essential. Within a hundredth of a second on when that goes off is going to determine if it's going off and causing your wreck, or if it's, not stopping you before you hit the steering wheel.
How do you
automatic cars now have automatic. If you're following somebody too close, it'll slow you down. If that sensor's not set correctly or it's set incorrectly, that can cause problems with the way that your vehicle drives.
So what you're saying is, at the factory, and I did not know this, at the factory it's set to like, what, a millionth or how much of a second, so that if you're in an impact accident, that airbag is going to deploy, and by actually working on a vehicle and not knowing what they're doing, they can absolutely mess up the entire computer mechanization system for the people's safety. Is that correct?
That's correct. You want the timing to be just right when you're in an accident.
Oh, my goodness. How did you learn how to do all this stuff?
There's 12 auto body technicians and 4 painters here that are all, we go to trainings all the time to keep up to date on what we have to do.
Have computers and the auto industry, have they got too complex, and would it be better to go back like it was maybe 10, 20 years ago? Or are you saying that we advocate the way it is and maybe have even more in the future?
You know what? We're going to see more and more in the future. As you see gas mileage getting better on cars, a lot of that is in the computer on how it runs the motor, that kind of stuff. You're not ever going to get away from dealing with the computers. You've got to make sure we're taking care of them correctly.
Okay, now one other thing about cars, and we were talking to you about this the other day when you were at my house. We think of the older cars, like when I was a kid in high school or whatever. I mean, man, we thought big, tough Sherman tanks as compared to the lighter plastic aluminum of today. But you were telling me the other day that cars actually are a lot safer to be in today than they were back 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Oh, yeah. If you have an older car hit a newer car, a lot of times you look at the older one and think, boy, that thing doesn't have hardly any damage. And look at what it did to the front end of the new car. But the front end did exactly what it was supposed to do. The guy driving the old car is probably going to have a stiff neck compared to what the new car did, because the inertia from the impact is sent away from the center of the cab where you're sitting. In the new car, from the design, you have crush zones. Things will do exactly what they're supposed to. They look worse, but you're a lot safer driving.
So I guess in essence what I could say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the days of the old shade tree mechanic are gone, because the slightest little twitch or the slightest little wrongdoing could absolutely damage that computer and jeopardize the inhabitants of the car's health.
Correct.
Wow. Now, I'm urging people to go to Snake River Auto Body and Paint, because I went in there for what looked to me like a little bitty ding, and they fixed that up, and they can do everything. You've got really a great staff. 20 employees and 5 estimators? When I went in there, I didn't have to wait hardly at all, and you were over there with your paper pad and your camera and got me all fixed up.
Exactly. We're here to serve, and we want to get you in and out as painless as possible. So we know that sometimes it's not that fun to deal with an accident, but we've been doing it for years. We'll help you out with your insurance company, write the estimates, and do a proper repair. Human safety is our number one goal here at Snake River.
I'll tell you what, I'm impressed, and this is a testimonial on my part. I mean, they were so professional and so kind to my wife and I. Now, how do you tell people where to find Snake River Auto Body and Paint? What's the easiest way for them to find your business?
Well, if you're coming in from Blue Lakes, I just tell people to turn down Shoshone at 5 Points Go down past Will's Toyota, turn right on 4th Avenue, and come down 3 blocks. We're on the corner of 4th and Eden.
And what are the hours that you're open over there at Snake River Auto Body and Paint?
7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Saturdays from 8 to 1.
And the work, I can guarantee you, folks, is done right, and satisfaction is guaranteed. You folks are good. Anything else about your business that we need to highlight this morning, Dan?
Just want to make sure that you guys know that we have Spanish-speaking estimators, so we can help out in that aspect. We have loaner cars available if you don't have rental car coverage through your insurance, so we can usually be able to help you out with some kind of car. If you can't come to us to get an estimate, we have mobile estimators that can come right out to take a look at it.
All right. I can tell you what, folks, I asked Dan to come on the program because I didn't understand about the new innovative ideas today versus decades ago, and they know it. Snake River Auto Body and Paint in Twin Falls. And I noticed that there's 2 addresses, and maybe we should clear that up, 404 and 419 4th Avenue West, Dan, in Twin Falls. Explain to them why the 2 addresses.
Well, we have our office separate from our body shop, so when you come in, you don't smell all the fumes, all that kind of stuff. It's more of a homely atmosphere when you come in. We're there to take care of you. We don't have a lot of technicians running in and out and trying to get things done. We're just there to take care of you, the customer.
And the number to call?
208-734-5790.
I'll tell you what, these folks are really nice and easy to work with at Snake River Auto Body and Paint Incorporated. And I'll tell you what, Dan, I appreciate you, and we're going to send everybody your way. Thanks for taking the time to explain that to us this morning.
Hey, thank you, Zeb. You have a good day.
You too, sir. Thank you. I got to tell you, folks, that when I go to a business and I don't know anything about automobiles, I don't know anything about, the body work or anything, and they treated us so nice. Nice is the word. And they were so efficient in getting everything taken care of. I just told them, I said, man, I got to have you on the air. I'm really impressed. And they do a wonderful job. They fix my truck up in no time at all, and I certainly appreciate their effort at Snake River Auto Body and Paint in Twin Falls. Number to call, 734-5790. And old Dan right there, he is a good old boy. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Come on. Open forum right now. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about for the next couple of minutes. Whether it's John Kerry criticizing Donald Trump, saying you can't run for office of the president because you don't believe in global warming. Whether it's the story about Ahmed, the clock boy, leaving the United States and now moving over to the Middle East so he can build more clocks, probably. Any story at all, just give me a call. We'd love to visit with you on it this morning right here on Zebeth Ranch. I got a few minutes extra here right now, so give us a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's see. I've got a little time. I'll take care of some public service announcements, too, that have been sent to me. And I had a gentleman call me the other day and say, hey, you got to take some time and get these public service announcements on the air. They're coming up faster than we realize, and he's right. There's going to be a 4th annual dinner and raffle for the Veterans Helping Veterans. And this is a fundraiser spaghetti dinner and raffle to raise money to help veterans, sponsored by the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Association and the Veterans Helping Veterans, and also the chapters from Twin Falls, Burley, Rupert, and Idaho Falls. Now, the date for this dinner, Veterans Helping Veterans, will be Saturday, November 7th, and it's going to be at the River Christian Fellowship Church at 4002 North, 3300 East Falls Avenue in Twin Falls. And if you have questions, be sure and call 358-163 436 or 539-2185, or my good friend Mike Campbell at 670-0043. And then I was sent this note by Doreen McMurray, and I want to get this on real quick. There's going to be a cover crop tour, and it's going to be held on November 4th in Minidoka and Cassia counties. And the tour will spotlight fields where cover crops of 3 or more varieties have been planted. And while riding the bus, landowners will share their project details, their purpose, and their goals. And there's going to be a Dutch oven lunch served at the end of the tour. And if you'd like to go on that tour, call Doreen McMurray at 878-5556 by Monday, November 2nd. And then, last but not least, in our public service announcements here, here's one to put on your calendar for November 19th, and it's a big one. And it's the 2nd annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner at the Golden Heritage Senior Center at 2421 Overland Avenue in Burley, and it's November 19th from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $10 per ticket, and you can call the Golden Heritage Senior Center at 878-8646. They are going to have an outstanding dinner, just like last year. Turkey and ham and all the trimmings. And they're going to have lots of door prizes and raffles and entertainment, and you don't have to be present to win. In other words, if you go to the dinner, you don't have to sit there all night. We will get a hold of you if we draw your name, and we'll make sure you get your prize. Okay, that's coming up on November 19th, the 2nd annual Pilgrim Pride Dinner at the Golden Heritage Senior Center. Don't you miss it. All right, excuse me, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle real quick. Wheels, what's going on over there at the station? You always want to chatter back and forth a little bit. What are you doing over there this morning?
I'm just kind of relaxing in my chair. You know, I emailed your wife because she gave me another number for the gentleman coming up next.
Right.
I'm just kind of listening to you and listening to the talking points. And
let me ask you, are you going to make it to Lunch Bunch on Thursday?
Yes, I would love to. I missed last month.
I know you did.
So I got to make up for it.
We're going to start at 11:30 at Denny's on Thursday, and I certainly hope you can make it.
Yes, I would love to make it, and I will make sure that your songs are in there for you so you can race down the highway to Denny's.
That's kind of become customary. I need a little extra time, and old Wheels is over there playing some good music and let me get on the road. Do we have a call coming in?
We don't. I hope somebody would call.
Boy, you and me both. I get lonesome sometimes here in the morning.
Hey, now you know how I feel.
Well, yeah, but you got the studio to sit in. You've got all the things, the hubbub of all the different activity. You've got your friends with the other station across the way. I mean, my goodness, how could you get lonesome over there?
Right. Well, when you put it that way, I can completely agree with you on that. And, I mean, you got your lovely wife, your lovely wife over there with you.
Well, she is busy early in the morning all the way through the program, and surprisingly enough, we don't get a chance to hardly talk to each other during the show.
Well, and I understand that. I mean, you know, you guys have your things to do throughout the day, you know. All
right. Well, Wheels, thank you. You're doing a great job. We really appreciate it. Thank you much. I want to remind everybody, too, that the Denny's High School Football Game of the Week. I got to get my sheet over here. Hold on just a second. I forgot to mention this earlier, and I need to get this on the air. This week, we are going to feature the game between Burley and Canyon Ridge High School. Now, I've had some people call and say, well, we want to get involved in that and possibly win the Denny's Grand Slam breakfast. Now, here's what you do. The game this week is going to be Canyon Ridge versus Burley. And if you pick the right team that wins and the closest to the final score, it's the winning team and the closest to the final score, and you will receive a Grand Slam breakfast from Denny's at 611 Overland in Burley. Now, I say this email address, and people are having trouble trying to understand what I'm saying. It's Zeb at the Ranch. Those are 4 words, ZEBATTHERANCH, then the at hotmail.com. And send your pick and your selection on the score. Like if you're going to pick Burley by such and such, or you're going to pick Canyon Ridge by such and such, give us the winning team and the final score. Send it to either my email at zebuttheranch@hotmail.com, or you can even put it on my cell phone. My cell phone is numbered 312-2976, and leave your message as to your pick for the week. And you might be the lucky winner of a Grand Slam breakfast from Denny's at 611 Overland in Burley. We've had a lot of great winners. We've had a lot of great football games, so be sure and get your winning team and score into us before Friday at noon, okay? Excuse me. Clear my throat, a little bit of a hay fever problem here this morning. I want to give you a little preview as to what we're going to be talking about next hour. And when I was notified by a lady by Stephanie Kundert of Media Research Center back in Washington, D.C., I kind of laughed this off at first and thought, oh, yeah, sure, come on, you're kidding. But we're going to have, coming up in about maybe 6-7 minutes, a doctor by the name of William Matt Briggs. And he focuses on scientific analysis and commentary. Well, there is now a project underway to use magnets, and I'm not kidding you, folks, this is really 1984 Orwell stuff, to use magnets to change your opinion and beliefs on things, because these magnets are centered on your brain. It's called transcranial magnetic stimulation. And here's what bothers me about this. And Dr. Briggs has written an article that volunteers were coaxed into having their brains zapped by giant magnets so that they would not believe in God and that they would accept ever-increasing numbers on immigration. I'm not kidding you. And supposedly these magnetic transcranial stimulations are working. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to get this gentleman on the air. He wrote an article called Scientists Claim Zapping Brains with Magnets Can Basically Stop You from Believing in God and Other Issues. And I can't wait to ask him about this, and that's coming up in just a very few moments right here on Zeb at the Ranch. While I'm waiting to send it back over to our main studio, I also want to remind you about our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. They can offer rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, an air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Now, as a Lennox independent dealer for over 50 years, they know the climate and they know the equipment, and they've done all the shopping for you. All you have to do is call them at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Remember, 678-0459. Well, I think we'll send it back over to our studios across the river and through the woods a little bit early, and then we'll be back. And don't miss this next segment with Dr. Matt Briggs about transcranial magnetic stimulation. Should be very interesting. And now, Wheels, it's all yours.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Now, welcome back on a beautiful, beautiful day outside, a Wednesday, October 21st. And thank you very much. I don't think in all the years that I've done this program that I have ever raised an eyebrow and looked at this cheat sheet questioningly like I am right now, because I absolutely never thought it would come to this in this country or anywhere else in the world, that we'd be talking about magnetism trying to change and alter the way we think and what we believe. And I'm going to let the good doctor tell us more about that. And we say good morning to Dr. William Matt Briggs, a former climatologist and science contributor to the Stream. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well.
I got to tell you, Doctor, I am sitting here with my jaw hanging down and my eyebrows raised that we can even be thinking about something they call transcranial magnetic stimulation. What in the world are you going to be telling us this morning?
Well, these group of researchers claimed, it's only a claim, that by zapping your brain with this magnet, that they can decrease the belief in God and increase your warm feelings towards immigrants.
Okay, now you've got me really on the hook with this one. How in the world, you're the scientist, you know more about this than I ever will. How can they, number one, know that a magnet placed at a certain place on the brain will do such a thing, and how did they ever arrive at such a theory?
Both excellent questions. They answer the first one, how do they know there even is... how could they aim something at the brain and claim that this is going to work? Well, they don't know that. They're just guessing. They needed to claim that there's an area of the brain that is responsible for your belief in God. It's not that you're choosing to believe in God. It's that your brain itself is causing you, in some sense, to believe in God. And your brain is causing you to have certain attitudes towards immigrants. And that region of the brain happens to be the same. Well, that doesn't make much sense. Unfortunately, however, it's not a brand new thesis to this group. These kinds of studies are now becoming, unfortunately, are becoming exceedingly common. About once a month, this type of study comes out, claiming to show that belief in God, that conservative beliefs, that traditional beliefs, are all the result of some, well, we might as well call it this, a brain malady, a difference in genetics between believers and unbelievers. So, but your second question is just as excellent. Why would they do such a thing? Well, everybody knows academia is pretty much stocked with mostly progressives, mostly people on the left. And they're very curious, these people, and most of them are somewhat intelligent, and they look out among the peoples of the country and they say, why aren't these people like us? Why do people have beliefs that are different than ours? Why don't we study this? So they're already coming at this from the wrong angle just by that alone. And the second is, in this paper, the authors themselves say this. They say religious people who believe in God, often commit, in their words, zealous acts. And what they want to do is they want to be able to have some method, some mechanism where they can identify people predisposed to believing in God and therefore likely to commit a zealous act so that these people can be identified and, well, possibly treated.
Okay, I've got so many questions here, Doctor, and bear with me on a very naive attitude because I had never heard of this before. But when you refer to these people, who are these insidious people? I mean, are they somebody like a Dr. Frankenstein in the depths of a deep, dark basement? Who are these people?
No. This stuff is exceedingly common. Almost every university has a group like this. These people are out of UCLA. This is not some small, out-of-the-way college of people who are coming up and floating some bizarre theory. No. This is part of a strong tradition in academia. I mean, it's not just zapping brains with magnets that they're doing. They're doing other things, too. They say, for instance, a study just came out a couple of months ago, that conservatives smell different than liberals, and that these olfactory clues are what is causing people to mate with one another. So in other words, conservatives, I mean, they have a different odor. It's not just that their mechanism of their olfactory sense is different. No, conservatives somehow put out different smells, and that conservative men put out these smells, and conservative women find them. And they find these men attractive, and this is how you end up having conservative babies.
Oh, my goodness. You know...
Another one, You think it sounds like I'm making this stuff up. I know it sounds comedic, but it's all unfortunately very true. Another study, just keeping on that same line, found that if you smell something rancid, something putrid, which, like a rotten egg smell or something like this, this is likely to cause you to become more conservative.
Oh, my goodness.
So they're grasping. They can't understand why anybody could be a traditionalist, be conservative, believe in God. They don't believe that there could be intellectual reasons or good arguments to hold views other than that which they hold. And so they're seeking to explain it by turning traditional beliefs into a pathology, into some kind of malady that can be studied.
Doctor, when I sit here and I listen to you, and I know you're in great seriousness over this, and when I read the paper on this, I sat back and I thought, wow, how far down the tube has our society gone? Because right now, the way it sounds like, even though it hasn't been perfected, these people at major universities could possibly, for lack of better terminology, clone the future of mankind to be a perfect, controlled society, and nobody would ever differ from the mold. Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right. We had two guiding books in the 20th century that sort of warned us about this. One was 1984 by Orwell, as we all know, but the other is sort of less well known, and it's Brave New World by Huxley. In Brave New World, they perfect a process, a eugenics process, where humans are engineered to fit into certain castes, so that you can have little worker bee humans, and you can have the more enlightened leader-type humans and the like. And Huxley was right on the money. This style of eugenics is on the increase. They now believe, these people, using these pseudo-quantification methods and these screwy statistical methods, incorrect, that they can identify certain genes in your body that make you more enlightened or less enlightened, or other genes that make you more altruistic or less altruistic, or more or less aggressive, and so on. And they openly espouse using these sorts of things, these sorts of genetic traits, which they claim are real, in deciding which babies you're going to let live and which you're not.
Doctor, again, my naivete is showing through here, but to me, this absolutely is so scary, and it's so heinous against God and His plan for mankind that these people that are doing this research, could absolutely create an entire roboticized community, couldn't they?
No, they can't. They only think they can. They're badly misleading themselves. The research that they do on this kind of stuff is real hack work. It's real pseudoscience. It's nonsense from start to finish. But yet they still believe it. That's the scary part. They believe they can create this kind of thing. And so that they might try to do it. Of course, it'll never succeed. They can't engineer human beings. It just isn't possible.
What about the factor, and there's always somebody out there that will volunteer, unfortunately, but what about the factor of studying and working with candidates that will go into a laboratory and say, okay, zap me, I don't care what happens, go ahead and remove any and all possibility that I will believe in God, cancel it out. Are those individuals around at various campuses that will absolutely destroy their life for the sake of something so stupid and heinous as this?
Well, yes and no. Yes, in this particular study that we're talking about, they had 38 undergraduates, and they were each paid $25 for the privilege of having their brains zapped. But, like I say, it doesn't work. They claim it works, but their claim is based on many different errors, and to explain those errors, you have to get rather technical. But it just doesn't work. Yet they've convinced themselves that it does. You cannot go into and have this transcranial magnetic stimulation applied to you, and your belief in God will decrease. That's just not going to happen. Think about this. thousands of times a day. Patients go into a hospital and have magnetic resonance images taken of their brains, to look for injury, to look for tumors and the like. The magnets used in those are much more powerful than they used in this particular study. Yet you don't hear people leaving the hospital claiming less belief in God. If anything, when people start thinking about their own faith, they have more of a belief in God.
Absolutely. Doctor, I got to tell you that while you were talking, I was letting my imagination kind of run rampant, and I got to kind of put the brakes on a little bit. But I was sitting here thinking about a space program to where they could launch satellites, supposedly if this was ever perfected, and have these huge magnets on these satellites, and they could, according to what you're talking about, they could transform the thinking of all of mankind.
Well, that we have to leave that in the realm of science fiction because it just can't happen. It's not. Here's what is possible. You can addle somebody's brain. Think about psychology's answer to extreme violence and schizophrenia used to be. They would go in and carve out a section of the frontal lobe, right? Lobotomies. Now, of course, these people came out docile, and then their attitudes were changed. Yes, that's possible. You can do it, but to do it with a magnet, just sort of blundering around and aiming it at someone's head, that's not possible.
Mm-hmm. But yet, the funding is what I'm curious about. Where do these people and or these college campuses, where are they getting the funding for this kind of absolutely insane study?
Well, you won't like the answer. You are paying for it.
I don't like the answer.
Your tax dollars at work. These studies are always funded by the government, by the National Institutes of Health, National Science Foundation, and other type organizations, other departments of the government. There is an enormous amount of money that flows from the government to these universities. And the scary thing about that is not just so much the amounts that are involved, though that's troublesome enough. It's that the government decides what research is important and what isn't important. And they more or less decide what results they would like to see and what results they would not like to see. And so this leads them to always end up saying, the science is settled. It's always settled in the way that they want it to be.
Yeah. And I want to go back to the original question that I had. Why God? Are we that afraid of a supreme being? Are we that afraid of our Creator? Are we that afraid of religion and belief as a Christian that we have to have it zapped out of our minds? This is really insidious as far as I'm concerned.
That's true. That's very true. You and I aren't, of course. But, and these people, these academics who are studying this, they generally don't believe. They take a materialistic view of the universe. Everything is caused by physical forces, physical biological forces. There is no God in the equation. So they don't really see it as troublesome when they're doing these type of things. And all they can do, they don't have much imagination. They don't bother to study the subject. They don't bother to look into the actual arguments that theologists have made for thousands of years now. It's a closed book to them. They only see the negative aspects of religion, and there's negative aspects of everything, including science. But they won't look at the positive side of religion. They won't look at it based on the same premises that you and I share, that God certainly does exist, and therefore we should operate using that as our main presupposition.
Now, Doctor, at these college campuses, etc., I'd love to know the name of the course, but the funding and the teaching and the professors, when you get to a professor teaching this, where did they get the knowledge, if there is any, in order to stand up in front of a class and give a lecture about something that is this far out in the atmosphere?
Well, it's an old boys club. This is UCLA, this study. This is, that's not a small school.
Right.
By any stretch. And it's not an unusual study, like I said, either. Every major university does things like this. And so they end up talking to themselves, and only to themselves. And the people that review the grants that fund them are, of course, themselves as well. These people cycle in and out of the government and sit on these review committees. And so peer review, which is sort of responsible for this, guarantees there'll be some party line to which everybody holds or looks to. And to sort of deviate from that too strongly puts you on the outs. You won't get funded, you won't get grants, and if you don't get grants, you can't get a job as an academic. So there is a tremendous interest the government has in funding these studies. Everybody always looks to corporations and they say, oh my gosh, an oil company funded a study and how bad. Well, oil companies have almost no money next to the government, and the government is just another funding source. We should consider them to be an interested party just as we consider oil companies.
Right. I would imagine, and I'd like you to address this part of it, I would imagine that we have to be very, very careful with these studies that are being funded by taxpayer dollars. What about other nations? What about the United Nations in trying to perpetrate this kind of a sick idea? Have you heard anything about them getting involved?
They don't, as far as I know, they don't get involved at this low a level. They certainly take the results from academia and use them in their own reports and studies and decision-making processes. But they don't fund a lot of this low-level basic research that I know of.
You know, Doctor, you have more knowledge on this than I ever will, and you have kind of an in-track to know about what's going on. Along with this study of magnets and changing and altering people's beliefs, etc., boy, what else is looming on the horizon that the general public should be absolutely scared about?
Well, all of this. I mean, like I say, I've given several other examples, and I can give a dozen more. These types of studies are on the increase. They can't understand why people are like we are, and they don't make any effort whatsoever to engage with us intellectually. They instead look at it as a biological mishap that we happen to believe as we do. And it's frightening because if they believe that belief in God is generated by genetics or generated by the brain in some fashion, and that they don't have the belief, they cannot but help to view themselves as superior creatures. And that is where it starts to get really scary.
I can't wait to do a follow-up on this with you in the future. And I have to ask you this one question before I let you go. A former climatologist, your thoughts on all these Democrats and left liberals that are trying to perpetrate global warming and climate change to us. I am not a believer. I'd like to hear your thoughts.
Don't say climate change. Say global warming.
Okay,
Never
good.
Say climate change. Don't fall into their trap. They promised us global warming. We didn't get it. We have to hold them to that. The problem with saying climate change is that the climate on the Earth has always changed. Always. Absolutely always. It's changing right now. And it always will continue to change. Therefore, if we try to say we need to empower government to stop climate change, something that's impossible, they'll always be able to say, look, the climate is still changing. We need more regulation. We need more taxes. We need more laws. We need more control to stop whatever it is that just happened. It's a terrible mistake. We know that global warming is not a threat. We know this because for the past 20 years or so, the climate has not increased in temperature. Yet the models that are based on all these theories say that it should have, and it should have by a lot. And the old saying in science was, when you had a theory that made lousy predictions, you knew the theory was wrong. That's no longer in force because this area of science, just like the other area we were talking about, the magnets, is now half of a political subject. It's just as much politics as it is science.
Absolutely. I want to have you give a quick response to this. I noticed I had an email sent to me this morning that said Secretary of State John Kerry said Donald Trump should be disqualified from office because he, Trump, denies global warming. I can't wait to hear your response to that one.
It's just ridiculous. If he denied global warming, you have to deny global warming. That's what the reality has been. It would be like saying he's not eligible for office because he's denying reality. If the temperature just hasn't gone up, it hasn't cooperated with the models. It hasn't cooperated with the theory. Reality and the theory are different.
Absolutely.
We have to defer to reality. If we don't, we're going to be in some real deep kimchi.
Doctor,
to use a military phrase.
Yes, sir. Dr. Briggs, I want to say how much you're a bright light in a dark tunnel, and I appreciate you being on the air with me this morning. I'm going to save your name and number so that I can have you back in the future. And Dr. William Matt Briggs, God bless you, man, and thanks so much for sharing with us on the program this morning.
It was my pleasure. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you, sir. Wow, I did not know major universities like UCLA and others are actually studying this stuff. Transcranial magnetic stimulation. Woo! Do. Scary and spooky. Oh my, it's scary and spooky that we haven't had the weather on yet. I better get right to that. The weather this hour is brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. They are your hometown meat cutter, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. And they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. And by the way, Don wants you to know, Don Scarro says, hey, they're your big game processor, too, over at Scarro's. And they can make you some delicious wild game bacon. You check it out at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Well, good Wednesday morning, and as far as weather's concerned, this fog is going to be sticking around, but hopefully it will lift by this afternoon because we're supposed to see some sunshine for today. High of 63. Tonight, expect an overnight low of 39. Going to be slightly breezy for today as well. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 62 with an overnight low of 38. That's going to roll over to Friday, high of 61 with an overnight low of 36. Partly cloudy for Saturday and 65, and sunny and 67 for Sunday. Yesterday's high was 50 degrees, and tonight's sunset will be at 6:43. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
Gina, thank you very much. Excellent forecast. Beautiful day outside. Brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Remember, they're changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. And again, big game processing at Scarro's and that delicious wild game bacon at Scarro's Meats in Jerome. Thank you very much. Oh my, let's also remind you about our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations. Tires, yep, got them for every driving need. All the vehicles, cars, pickups, SUVs, horse trailers, snow machine trailers, you name it, they've got all your tires for your safe fall and winter driving. And don't forget to the very best in brake value promise, professionally trained technicians, free brake inspections and estimates, and of course, if you need brakes, premium quality parts, and the brake industry's best warranty. Front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Boy, in this colder weather in the morning, you want to make sure when you turn the key, that battery's going to go boom, 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 and away you go. Well, you check it all out for safe driving with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, the very, very best. Once again, a reminder that tomorrow is Lunch Bunch Day at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. And I want to say thank you one more time to a lot of businesses that have helped contribute to the Lunch Bunch with the donation of gift certificates, and they are Smith's Food and Drug, Hanson Mortuary, Walmart, and Stokes Food Center. Thank you. Thank you very much for being a part of an event that has grown in popularity all over the valley. People coming in from all points of the compass to go to Zeb's Lunch Bunch at Denny's Restaurant tomorrow at 11:30. Let's see what have we got cooking for tomorrow on the program. Don't forget, we've got open forum first hour, second hour, the Chamber Report, and then the Minidoka Hospital Report, followed by Dog Nation, Rita Ramsey, and, of course, Starving to Death, and Cassia County School Days, and a special visit on the radio with this lady. You're listening to Zeb at the Ranch. Make sure you're hearing everything. Contact Mount Harrison Audiology for a hearing screening. Call the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup at 312-0957. Until tomorrow morning at 8:06, Zeb at the Ranch right here on K-Bar 1230 and streaming live on the internet, zebbell.com. God bless you and your family. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Take it away, Wheels.